Ay, gracias.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Hello to and welcome to this week's Soulful Conversation. It is my pleasure and my delight to share with you Alessandra, my friend and colleague, Alessandra Santos, who's a gifted healer, and both in breathwork and other spiritual modalities, healing modalities. Welcome, Ale.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Every time that we get together is magical.
I'm so glad you're here, because one of the reasons that I wanted to speak with you is that you're really interesting and unusual in that you combine 20 years of experience in banking and finance with this other healer side of you. And for most of us in the healing world, we're all about the service part of it, but clueless. Most of us, I would say, where it comes to the business part of it. So tell us a little bit about your journey about bridging those two.
Sure, sure. So, as Christian mentioned, I was in banking for 20 years in private banking. And when I met Christian back in Miami, I was going through a period. I got sick because I was so stressed. It was after the financial crisis, and I met Christian, and I trained with Christian and I became a breath worker. So at that point in time, it was very interesting because I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving this life behind. I'm like, okay, I made a decision. I'm leaving corporate. I moved back to my country, Panama, and I'm going to do breath work. And as I was doing breath work and I was telling my story, people started coming to me and they were like, hey, Ale, can you help me with this financial stuff? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Because it was like something that was just nature to me after 20 years of doing it. And then I realized that as I included some of the spiritual modalities with the financial part, things move much better, much better, because there's the practical aspect of finance, but there's the aspect of understanding your intention, understanding why you are doing the financial decisions that you are doing, and understanding that money is not equal to an abundance mentality, but that also how do you use money so that it can also expand yourself spiritually. So things that I had separate, now they come very together. And it's a really beautiful spiritual journey when you take abundance and money from that perspective.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm,
And I want to get more deeper into the abundance mentality, consciousness. But first
mhm,
of all, let's talk a little bit about, because I know you work with individuals and you also have a group coaching program
mhm.
that you take people through. So I imagine that part of what you're doing with the spiritual, psycho spiritual part of it is diving deep into the money mindset, like
Mhm.
the subconscious fears, the judgments, the beliefs about money being bad or evil, the root of all evil. So, is tell us a little bit about that process.
Sure. So I like to say, okay, imagine money is a person. Money is a person. How do you relate to money? And then people's like, oh, no, no, I relate very well. And I'm like, do you know how much money is coming in? Do you know how much money is going out? Do you look at your financial statements every month? No, no, I'm scared of it. Okay, so you say you have a good relationship with money, but then you are scared of it. Or no, I don't know, I feel stupid when I look at those things. But then you say you have a good relationship with money. And what I say to people is like, please don't feel bad if you don't know how to relate with money, because in high school, at the university, unless you're studying something in finance, nobody's teaching us this. Now I see some schools that they're actually teaching some financial literacy to kids, but I was not taught anything about money, growing up at school. My parents, they were very savvy, so they instructed me on different things when I was growing up, but it's not something that is usual for us to be instructed on how to like manage a business, or how do I manage a credit card. Most of my clients, when they come to me, they don't know what the interest on their credit card is. They don't even understand very well how to work with a credit card. So let's think about money as a person. How do you relate to it? And to be truthful about that relationship, because as any other relationship, you need to work with it to bring love to it. So then that person relates back to you in that way.
Hmm.
So it's, with respect, with love, with understanding, like, what is this person about? What is money about? How does it relate to me? Like, what is it to me? Do I really feel that money is bad? Then why would I want to have money in my life?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you took it in that direction, because I recently had that insight. Somebody mirrored that for me, because I have a very trusting relationship with money. As you know, I live in this kind of magical reality, but at the same time, there's aspects of it that I don't pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about it as a person, like if I gave money, like even 10% of the interest, the care, uh that I would give to any of my human relationships, is like, wow, wow, how different would that be?
Yeah, and first you have to decide and say, okay, let me sit here and let me be truthful, because I want to see where I am right now. Let's say that I think that money is beautiful, but then I think that people that have money are bad, because sometimes we have conflicting belief. I had a client, she was amazing at manifesting money because she believed she was abundant. She believed she attracted money to her life. And then she had a belief that came from her family that people with money were not good people. So money will come in and money will go out because, well, if I have money, then I'm a bad person. And then knowing that belief, then you can work with it. You can look at it and be like, okay, I understand. This is not mine. This is maybe from my family. I choose to shift it. I choose to transform it. Because people say money is energy, and you and I know that we are energy. So in the same way, we transform our beliefs, we transform our relationship to it.
Yeah, that's great. That's brilliant. And so how Uh, tell us a little bit about actually the practical ways to work with you in this area, like it's either both one-on-one
Mhm.
and your coaching group.
Sure. So, when I work with people, either one-on-one on the coaching group, I always start with, what is your definition of an abundant life? Because I want to know what it means to be abundant for you, not for anybody else. Because with that in mind, that we can align your financial statements, your cash flow, to operationally manifest what you want. And what do I mean with this? Sometimes people say, well, I want to manifest this in my life, but then you look on how they are spending their money, and they say, well, I want to go on a vacation, but then all their money is going to maybe out, they go out for dinner like every day. But that's not on their vision of what they want to manifest. They want to go on a vacation, or maybe they want to buy a house, and maybe they're spending $500 a month on going out for dinner, which they're doing just because they're bored, because they don't want to be home alone, but it's not aligning
Or they
with
live
what they,
alone, like.
or they live alone. Yeah, but then there are things that you can start shifting so that they match, so
Hmm.
that you can start manifesting that reality. So there's the part of the vision of what you want to create, and there's the part of like, okay, how am I spending my money operationally, so that you can align it. And those are shifts that you start making consciously, because once you look at your financial statements, you can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and shift that, and then that flow, because it's the cash flow, aligns with what you want. So I think it's a very practical way of like how the two aspects of this very, oh, let's manifest this, aligns with something that is very practical. Or also eliminating expenses that you don't need. Sometimes a
Hmm.
lot of people have a lot of subscriptions that they don't use, and
Yes.
that money can go somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about what abundance consciousness means to you.
I always say that is recognizing that you're abundant now and eliminating anything else that clouds that from you, because we are abundant. is our birthright, and is taking away everything that is clouding the beliefs, the behaviors um, that we are doing in our life. So in that way, we go ahead and we feel that. It feels, very. Let me give you maybe an example. Um,
And let me
yeah,
intersect something because I
yeah,
know I
yeah.
know that you hold this in a profound,
Hmm.
both spiritual and practical way.
Yeah.
Because abundance is a word that I have a little bit of ambivalence
Hmm.
about because it's so overused. Um, that it becomes almost trite. But I know
Yeah.
that to you, you have a deeper way that it's not airy fairy, the way that you're
Yeah.
talking about abundance.
So now that you say that, I connected to this. So a word that comes to me is freedom. When people come to me and we talk about abundance and people start describing what it is, they normally say, well, it's financial freedom, it's freedom of time, it's freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want it. And let's take a step back and let's talk about the different areas of our life that create that abundant mentality. Because let's say that you have all the money in the world, but you are not healthy, you're sick. Do you feel abundant? So
Right,
there's a,
right. And I
you
know
know,
millionaires who
mhm,
live in fear of running out of money and ending up homeless. So it is a state of mind. It is a state of
it is a state of
consciousness.
mind. So there's that aspect of, as you say, there's that part of like, well, the fear of losing money, because money is a big amplifier of, if you don't shift something within you before you get a whole bunch of money, that's just going to amplify it. So it's also a call for you to work inside of you, to start shifting those things that you want to manifest. Because people say, oh, I'll do that when I have $1 million. No, no, do that. So when you have $1 million, that habit goes with you. It's not like, oh, I'm going to save money when I have $1 million. The habit does not show up like right away. You have to create the habit so that you can hold money, because
Mhm.
it's almost like you are doing weight lifts, and you're doing some weights at the gym, and then you're doing weights that are 5 pounds, then 10 pounds, and you start creating that muscle.
Mhm.
And the same thing is with money. You start managing 1,000, 100,000, and then you start creating that muscle and that understanding of how to manage that.
Yeah, I think that's really important
Hmm.
because, like I was saying before, I'm pretty established in trust. I
Hmm.
know that I'm gonna be fine. And I got to test that during the pandemic when my income, came to a screeching halt after 30 years of doing retreat. All of a sudden, overnight, no income. And not once, it took me about a year to start developing alternative online programming, maybe 9 months, 9, 10, 11 months. Um, but not once, Alan, not once did I go into fear. So I know that I've got and I'm really grateful about that because it's been a journey to get to that level of trust in relationship to life or spirit or whatever you want to call it. And I love the Sufi saying, trust in Allah, but tie your camel.
Hmm. And that aspect of what you are explaining right here is part of that abundance mentality, of that freedom mentality, because you felt free, you were not in fear. So that's key. So there's that's mentality, there's the aspect of the physical body, your health, there's the aspect of relationships. That's definitely of like being wealthy, is the wealth of your relationships, the health of your relationships, because you can have $1 million, you don't have anybody to share it with, then how does that work? So definitely that's also part of that abundance.
Hmm.
And
So it's not just
also,
about finances, this
it's not
abundance
about
is also
finance.
about love, about.
Yeah, it's,
Mhm.
I like to explain it a lot. Tony Robbins has this framework that I love and I use in most of my coaching. This is 6 human needs, and he talks about the 6 human needs that every single human has, and it's the need of certainty, and that's certainty, safety. So that's, I have a home, I can eat, I feel safe my environment. I have enough money to cover my expenses. For everybody, that need is different. An ego can get attached in that area because the fear can come in through whenever that certainty gets shaken. But there's people that they can navigate uncertainty very well. But then just think about like how much money is spent on that need, on feeling safe, on our homes, our food, our clothing, uh, basic human needs. Completely opposite to that is the need of adventure. And there are brands that are completely like focused on that they show the adventure. And adults, sometimes we end up being into this monotone life that is very structured, and we miss that adventure. And then we start spending money, like sometimes those when we go shopping without any reason and we get a whole bunch of stuff, we get a high. But it's not necessarily because we want to buy that stuff, but we want to get that feeling. Anything that gives you that high is associated with that feeling of adventure. And then for
Which helps
me,
to understand the hoarding
mhm,
mentality.
yeah, the hoarding mentality also has to do a lot with this certainty. It's like almost like plays both ends, because it's people hoard also sometimes for the sentimental value of wanting to like hold onto that. Like if I have that, I feel safe. That I have that object that represents X, Y, or Z. But it's I start thinking as you listen to me, I'm like, why am I buying this stuff? Is it because I want to feel safe, or maybe because that car makes me feel that I'm, having a tremendous adventure? For me, I love spending, my money on travel because I love, that feeling, and I do it very consciously because I know that that's important for me. But it's a very conscious decision, and it's something that I recognize for me that is important, and it fulfills me, and is something that I, save money for that. And now, the other need is the need for to be significant.
Mm.
Every single one of us, we want to feel that we're important.
Mhm.
We want to feel that we're important. And then sometimes people get that feeling of importance completely from, their career. Sometimes they don't change careers because, they have a title, they are getting money, they have this status. But sometimes that's not completely related to abundance, but it's a need that we have. It's a need that we have. But if we recognize that we have the need, also go ahead and let's value ourselves. Let's value ourselves with our commitment to self. To when we promise something to ourselves, let's go ahead and let's do it. And that's how that internal value, that okay, I appreciate myself, that it's also related to abundance, to start building that.
That's great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I know a couple of
Mhm.
hoarders, and it's not about whatever it is that they're buying. It is
Yeah.
that act of buying, that high of buying.
Mhm.
Um, in my case, which I realized when I had to move out of the temple in the Grove, is like I have an addiction for books and for deities, for Buddhas and statues and sacred art. And at this point, now that I'm being a digital nomad, it's all stuck in storage.
Yeah, I left, well, when I left Miami, I saw everything. And for me, books, I had a library, and it was like, oh my God, this is hard. But then once I was able to let that go, it has been such a freedom because I am not attached to the physical stuff. There are
Mm.
certain things now, like, I think there's like one book that I have that I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this one. But it's easier to navigate. And I'm not saying to anybody, I'm like, okay, now let go of all of your stuff. It's a process that is different for every single person. But for me, I work with a lot of millionaires. And what I saw, Christian, is the ones that were truly happy were those that defined themselves on how they were serving others, how they
Yeah.
were serving through, because the resources, because they had resources, and whether they were donating to the arts or a cause that they love, or whether they had a company and they had employees and the employees were happy. And it's not the action, but the intention behind the action that creates that mentality of feeling fulfilled. And maybe you were saying maybe it's not abundance, but it's that fulfillment that you
Mhm.
feel, okay, wow, it's, I feel whole and complete. And it doesn't depend as to whether I have that new purse or that new car. Is I feel whole and complete as Alessandra. I feel whole and complete as Christian.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, is when you realize that you just take away everything else and you sit there with yourself and you're like, oh, wow, I'm me, and how wonderful it is this, and you're in complete gratitude, which is
Yeah.
key for abundance.
Yeah, and I'm very clear about that for myself. Like
Yeah.
I know that I can't bring my books and my sacred statues and art with me.
But they're
Um,
beautiful.
I'm not ready to let go of my attachment to them. Um,
Yeah.
I'm clear that if I won the lottery, which I guess I would probably need to start buying tickets first,
Yes.
um, that I would continue doing exactly what I'm doing
Yeah.
now. I would just do it on a bigger scale with a lot more support.
Hmm.
But I totally resonate with what you're saying about the importance of what I call mission. That's what gives me fulfillment, is knowing that what I do makes a real difference in real human life, and that to me is priceless. There's nothing that even compares to it in my life.
Yeah, and sometimes people have come to me, they're like, Ale, but I don't know what my purpose is. Because I think, you are very clear in your mission. And I was lucky that, I found you that day that I went to my first breath work, and that my life shifted, and that I feel I'm aligned with my mission now. And there are some people that they are like, "Oh, I don't know what it is." And I say, well, start like seeing how you're connected with other human beings, how your actions affect other human beings, whether you are in a bank, whether you are in corporate, whether, because we are there supporting each other. And that supported me the last few years of my career, because I used to define myself, I was like, okay, I'm the vice president of the bank and I give loans to rich people. But then afterwards, I was able to see, okay, this loan I'm providing to this client is going to this company, and this company is employing all of these people. And because of that, this, family in Venezuela is able to eat. So I was able to see. You
Sorry
okay?
about that. Excuse me.
So just be able to see how you're connected. Every time that you give or receive money, there's a flow. And Ken Honda, which I know you interviewed a while ago, I love his practice of, you know, s- being thankful when you receive or give money, arigato to money. It's like, well, I'm giving money to you, thank you. And I know this money is going to this business or to this family, and is creating emotion that supports other human beings. And so that's what I will say with people that they are not clear about, what is my purpose? What am I doing? Just start noticing, breathe, start looking at things with, different shades. You are today connecting with other people, and you are affecting other people. Make it beautiful.
Hmm.
Make it beautiful.
I love that, Ale. And you and I could continue speaking about this for at least an hour.
Yes.
And we're intentionally designing these to be kind of shorter with respect to your time and everybody's time.
Yes, yes, yes.
So let's talk a little bit before we go about how people. We have your website down below,
Mhm.
so anybody can follow. Who wants to work with you. I
Uh,
know that you work in English and Spanish.
I do.
Do you want to say anything about any groups coming up in either one language or both?
So that website is also my Instagram. So people. I love when people write to me. Currently, for the rest of the year and the beginning of the year, I'm doing one-on-ones, just because right now I'm running other projects. But what you can do is like you reach out to me, and I will keep you up whenever there's another group coming. I have a mailing list that people receive the information. I do online breathworks. For example, tomorrow I have one in Spanish that is completely free. And in my Instagram, I'm always posting whenever there's something coming up. So if anybody has any questions, I love talking with people. We can get into a Zoom call and chat. And in I normally, whenever somebody works with me one on one, it's a very customized process. It's a really beautiful process. So if you are curious, just reach out and let's go ahead and let's talk.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And as we head into Thanksgiving week here in the US, um, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And even if you're not in the US, a gratitude practice is a really good thing to take. So maybe we can close with that, Ali. How does gratitude connect and feed and support and nurture that abundance consciousness?
It's key. I think it's the key. It opens the door. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Just, breathe into your heart and just, what am I grateful for today? And just from the smallest thing, as maybe even that person that just like really touches your buttons, because it allows you to practice gratitude and patience. It's simple. It really shifts your vibration. It brings you to the present moment and allows you to see all of your blessings instead of focusing on the lack. So it creates abundance right away. So definitely, you want to start somewhere. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We don't have enough room in our minds for both gratitude and fear, or gratitude and lack, or gratitude and judgment. So definitely focus on gratitude. Thank you so much, Ale. I
No,
look
thank
forward to
you.
seeing you again soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Giving.
Much love, countless blessings, and we'll see each other soon.